What is going on, guys? We've got a 2005 Silverado. It's got a 5.3. It's got a check engine light, an EVAP code, P0449. Let's get into diagnosing this thing.
So this has actually got a 0060-0161. Those are oxygen sensor codes. We're going to replace the oxygen sensor. What we're focusing on is P0449. That is evaporative emissions vent solenoid.
Now, the majority of the time, this code is caused by that vent solenoid. It went bad. A couple things can happen to it. It's electrical. You can have the solenoid go out. Another thing is if you overfill the fuel tank, you actually get fuel that runs back down in there. That can cause issues. But instead of just throwing a solenoid at this thing, we're gonna go ahead and make sure our wiring is okay first. It's always a good check because I don't wanna throw a solenoid at it. If the wiring's bad, I'm just gonna have a repeat problem.
So here we are under the truck. We've got our fuel tank right here, your charcoal canister, and you've got this line that comes off, runs to your vent solenoid. You reach up here, there's a clip, and unplug our connector from our solenoid. So what I want to do is I want to check that I have power to this orange wire with the vehicle running. That orange wire should have power all the time. So I'm just back probing the connector itself. I'm going to hook a little alligator lead up to it so I can take the other end out to my multimeter. Okay, now I've got the truck running. I've got my power lead here. Now I'm just going to get a good ground. We're going to see what kind of power we have. We should have probably 12, 13 volts somewhere along there. There we see 13.7 and it's solid. So we've got good power to our vent solenoid.
So we verified we've got power on the orange wire. The white wire, to properly check it, we would need to check for an open between this end and the end that plugs into the PCM. Now, that's quite a bit of work to hunt that all down. I've got a vent solenoid, a verified power. There's a really good chance that it is that vent solenoid. So I'm gonna go ahead and install that thing. Then I can go back in the scan tool, actuate it, make sure that it works. The solenoid itself was fairly inexpensive, so rather than chase around a bunch of wiring and have to have somebody pay me to diagnose and do all that, I'm going to put the cheap part on there first since we verified power, and bet that takes care of it.
So we've got a quick connect style connector on this end, and this whole piece just slides onto this bracket. Now, one thing that I am noticing already, I don't know if it shows up on camera, is there are some little hairline cracks in this line. So we don't want to put this thing back together with a possible EVAP leak that could just lead to another code. So I'm probably going to put a new hose on this just to prevent that from happening. Now we just got to get this tab popped up so we can slide the whole assembly off. Sometimes easier said than done. So there, our tab released. I'm gonna go ahead and unplug it from this end. And our whole assembly comes off. So here's our new unit, here's our old. Bunch of hairline cracks in this. And to get this off, we actually have to get the heat gun out, heat this thing up slide it off here and on to the new one, which once again, as brittle as that thing already is, I think we'd run into issues. So we're just going to use a piece of fuel hose to run from here back around to where this would have plugged in. I do think I want to try to reuse this side in my new hose, just because trying to make a U-turn like that with just regular hose, you end up kinking the hose. So if I can use this on my new hose, that'll be very helpful. We're gonna hit it with some heat and see if we can get it to come apart. So I hit this thing with a heat gun. I actually did use a razor blade and also cut a little slot in it. I was able to pop this off. Now we can reuse this guy. Now I just want to kind of size this up. Just to see what we're going to need for hose. So here's what our setup is going to look like. We're connected here, make the bend. Now we've got our quick connect still attached there. We'll go ahead and go back up to the bench and get our clamps put on. So here we've got our new setup, got our clamps, quick connect still on this end. So we'll get this thing installed. Now we can come in here to our scan tool, our EVAP vent solenoid test. We turn this on and we can hear it come on. You could hear that click. We hear it turn off. We know we're working.
Just like we suspected, the solenoid fixed the problem. We verified that with the scan tool. If you don't have a scan tool that has this capability, that part is pretty cheap if you just want to put one on. If you've got that P0449 code, pretty cheap to throw it on there, and that is usually the problem. So hopefully you found this helpful. If you did, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys next time.